to the channel. As you can see from the thumbnail, this is one hell of an AE86, cool car, but as you can see also, it's got a bit of a story. So it's up on the ramp, let's go take a look at it. Right, so let's look at the underside detail. Starting here, BC coilovers, Willwood brake kit on it, big RCA, 45mm maybe, and is your BCs, got the steel braided brake lines, poly bushed on the anti-roll bar. Surprisingly enough, it's a stock lower control arm and a stock tension rod. Probably could do with at least upgrading the tension rod to a spherical joint one, giving yourself a bit of adjustability there caster wise would be a good idea. The wheels are mad, 16-inch Watanabes. Oh, bad lens flare there. Yeah, so dry sumped SR22 from underneath. Double scavenge very simply off of the original steel pan here, which is a very easy way to do it. You've got two extra bungs here, which I'm not quite sure this is about, but I guess I'll know soon enough. And it's got a aluminium pulley made instead of the original harmonic damper, we'll say, and that then drives the dry sump pump here, which is probably a pace unit, I think, by the looks of it. I might be wrong there. There's your supply then going back through the bulkhead, and you have the double scavenge here. Nothing else too trick going on. Aluminium radiator, just single slim fan here. This is interesting. There's your bonnet pull, still works and looks like an old Nissan one or something maybe, and still works. Pull the bonnet from down here, which is never going to be found really, unless you know it's there. Oil cooler sitting in here. Go back along, there is the 6-speed S15 gearbox, which is really nice option to have with the SR. These are almost identical, I think, to the RX8 box and a GT86 box, all kind of the same A's and rear wheel drive gearbox. There isn't that many rear wheel drive gearboxes in existence these days. The crankshaft sensor is in here, and there is a, I would say, quite fancy flywheel in there somewhere. If the sensor can go in that far, there must be quite a bowl of a fancy flywheel in there. This would have been a dual mass system, I believe, on the 15 originally. So that gives you a lot of thickness here. As you can see, this is nice and thick here, so the clutch is probably quite a bit back. The 3-inch exhaust, which is big. That's pretty big. It's there's the manifold, stepped quickly, slightly kind of megaphoned and tapered there, and stepped quickly into what looks like 3-inch, all the way back. Gets tight here on the Corolla to be packaging a 3-inch under axle, and then through the diffuser and out rather coolly here with the big long tailpipe, which is pretty common. Back of it is very menacing. Cool looking Corolla. At the back, BC again, separate shock and spring. Modception axle, which is the Pajero based axle. Very nice job, actually, to be fair. You will notice a anti-roller link missing because of the exhaust, so no sway bar on the back. I'm pretty sure these use Golf brakes on them. So your two Golf calipers here. Braided line again. The line is ran and teed on the body up here. Come on, phone, you can do it. Yep, teed up there and ran on the body. It's normally ran on the axle, but either or, doesn't really matter. It's got some instant center anti-skid adjustment here. It's got none on the top, just factory here. The welding is actually really good on these, really nice to see. Yeah, you can see on the back it says 460.25, so interesting to see how that mates with the 6-speed box, to see what kind of gearing we have going on. Single spherical joint here, rubber here, and these are still rubber, and I believe the top ones are still rubber into the car. So yeah, that's what's going on the underside. Shell is really good, obviously. A lot of effort got into this car, so it's going to be a good shell, isn't it? And yeah, so it'll be interesting to get pick the bones out of this. I'm not sure if it's a quick rack in there or not. I don't like some of these quick racks, so we'll see when we get into it. Some of them can be very, very stiff, beyond stiff. So we'll see, and with 16-inch wheels, big tires, it'll be, yeah, might be some wrestling going on, especially when you're stopped. You can see the ITBs above. And yeah, that's pretty much the underside on this Corolla. Pretty cool. There's the Watanabes for any wheel freaks out there. No spigot ring, always scares me. I'll have to put one in there. Looks 16-inch, as I said, which is rare actually to have a Corolla in 16-inch. This one does pull it off. Must be 9.5 or 10.5. I don't know the exact width, but they're a proper men's wheel anyway. Look really well in the gunmetal grey on this. Right, so check out the carbon trunk, boot, whatever, tailgate. Probably J-blood, since the doors are J-blood. But yeah, it has this vent here that we made, 3D printed in-house in PET-G, with a TPU gasket to stop any water ingress. We sank the stainless Allen head bolts into it, and then we put the breather from the rear mounted dry sump tank. Look at that, tucks away nicely, fully opens. Dry sump tank in the back here. We ran the breather, printed a 2-bolt TPU little brace for it there that keeps it straight and leaves it pivot in the right spot. And then up onto here we also printed a I think that one is I forget what material we made. We made a little plastic bulkhead fitting that fits the screen and has an O-ring on it and goes into the gasket or into the breather perfectly and comes down onto that. So the 3D printer came into good effect here. This was just open to atmosphere inside in the car, which wouldn't be acceptable really. The fumes would be crazy inside then. So I said something had to be done, so this was the solution we came up with. I think it was pretty smart, turned out sweet, if I do say so myself. Should open and close with no issues, and the rain can't affect it or anything. The PET-G, as we're finding out, does have a kind of a low melting point, distortion point temperature wise, so if we've any issue here on a really warm day, very rare in this country, but maybe if it was a American car or something we wanted to sell as a solution, not that many people have dry sumps in the back of their Corolla, but cool little product to get the air out as well from the interior. But yeah, hopefully the PET-G in Ireland lasts, but we have the foil, we can print it in anything else we want to if it's not up to the job. The actual air coming out won't be that warm, and the vapor that comes out of it won't be that warm, but the owner will see how much vapor comes out, especially on cold start and things like that. So that would all be in the cabin, which would be horrible, but I think we came up with a really nice solution there. We kind of kept it so it's wider on the rear, and it kind of fits in with the shape of a Corolla, kind of old school car with, you know, 30 degrees, just try and keep it so that it looks a little period correct. If we rounded it all and made it all round, I don't think it would suit, so I'm really happy with that. I think we came up with a great solution. So Ryan here made this a reality, and yeah, he's really good with the 3D printed stuff, so myself and himself come up with all sorts of crazy fixes, and he makes them a reality then, so that worked out really well. Right, here we are. I think this is a Mercury or bumper. Someone might know in the comments, and I think it's another J-Blood carbon bonnet. People will know from the vent if it is or isn't J-Blood. And here we are, the SR22 NA VVL on ITBs. I believe they are BMW M5 ITBs. This is 2.2 standard stroke with a 90mm bore. We'll come back to that in a second. Stepped header by the looks of it, so it seems to be stepping out here. Yeah, it seems to be stepped slightly larger there, which is very interesting, very nice. ITBs, they kind of need some work. They're just kind of, you know, placed in here. We need to come up with a solution to all these little knickknacks and whatever else is going on. As you can see, no brakes, no clutch, pedal box inside. In the car, I think the grille here is carbon, but we just have it removed as we were plumbing. As you can see, we put a Peterson priming pump in it, and that's our skid for when you change the oil. It actually goes down instead of pissing all over the chassis leg. We have that out at the moment for a reason which we might as well get to right now. So we were kind of entrusted with making this car ready for use in 2026, go through the whole project and see what had to be done. Now, I decided, oh, this car is being built over a long time, 6, 7, 8 years maybe, and hasn't been used. So I was like, you know what, let's bore scope the engine. There has to be a valve open for those 6, 7, 8 years somewhere, and we've got open ITBs. So I was concerned. I do it on an awful lot of engines that are, we'll say, coming from used cars or scrapped cars or parked cars. Just check the bore and make sure we don't have any of the dreaded rust going on. Now, unfortunately, this has a major issue on number one cylinder. So we bore scoped it, and 4, 3, 2 mint, no issues, and 1 would have been mint, but it looks like in the process of lining the engine, it looks to me as if a liner has slightly dropped or is a different height to the rest of the other liners. And while this car has been parked up for an extended period of time, there has been water dripping from the head gasket down on top of the piston, probably for years. As you can imagine, that is not going to be good. So unfortunately, there is quite substantial corrosion on number one cylinder, which is just going to blow the rings off of this thing. It's actually so bad that the piston could come up and the rings and the top ring length could stay. I've never seen something so bad on the corrosion front, I mean. But it's because you're not getting a seal between the head and the liner. I don't like lining these engines. I don't like SR20s full stop. I think they're shit engine. But I really don't like lining them because there's a serious trust thing you have to put into the machinist to have this thing A1. You've got the top of the oil pump involved as well. It has to be decked with the whole engine, blah, blah, blah. It can be done, of course, and but I just don't see the point. You know, I'd much rather have a 2-litre and be out and enjoying it than chancing the lining of it. We don't certainly recommend anyone lining an SR in this country. It's just too much chance of going wrong, in my opinion. Now, it's easy for me to say, no, this is wrong, and I'm not saying we're great or anything, but we have a major issue now, unfortunately, with this. It came for a certain amount of work. We did kind of 2 things to it with the dry sump breather and the Peterson pump here. The reason that's out now is the engine is coming out tomorrow. So this thing is kind of dead in the water and we need to solve. Sorry about that, guys. My phone is forever dying doing these videos. So here we are 2 days later. The Corolla is here, and as you might notice from the stance, the engine is now out. So engine is out, car is ready to go back to the customer. So I was in the middle of my rant the last time when the phone died. The engine is now in storage in our little engine graveyard here. 4 SR20s in there. Yeah. So the engine is in storage until we figure out a new schedule on this project, which is difficult to happens an awful lot where you are entrusted to do some work on a car and then it needs more work, and you have another car booked in, but the other one isn't finished because it needs more work, and all of a sudden they all stack up and cars end up going back to the customer late, and it's a tricky one, always. Getting back to this SR, as I said, I mentioned the oil pump there, so I really hope when we investigate that this oil pump has been decked with the block. So every SR20 man out there will know that when you surface the block on an SR, you must surface it with the oil pump. Now, if this oil pump managed to get liners and everything and didn't have the pump surfaced with the liners, then the pump will be slightly high. Therefore, if you are going to have trouble sealing, it'll be number one. Number two, as the head sits at a slight angle, doesn't seat down on the block properly because the oil pump is high. I mean, I hope that is the case, and I hope that isn't the case. It's really a tricky one. So we'll know when we take it apart. We'll be measuring the height of the deck and see what happened. So see if we got a liner moved, or as I said, now that I think of it, maybe the oil pump wasn't decked at the same time, which is a really easy thing to do, and it is the first rule of building an SR20, and if it was forgotten, it is now a shit show. But anyway, that's this project. Thanks for watching, and of course we'll be revisiting what we do with this next year when we get it taken apart and see what the problems are, and we'll be getting it back together. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Something interesting, probably Supra modifications, and I might actually get out my own car for once. But thanks for watching, and see you later.